Good morning, my name is Roger Trevino, your Ranger One. We are about to start a video chat on the trading channel for Devve, and we're gonna be having Austin as an invite. He's part for the Devve ecosystem. So stick around, and we'll be sharing this video on all different social media, especially the live chat is going to be recorded on Telegram, and then later you'll be able to watch it. So stick around. We're going to start in about 5 minutes. Okay, we want to welcome everyone to the Devve Hour. Right now, we are waiting for Austin to reconnect, and I'm going to tell you guys, this is it's going to be a good live. It's going to be a good live. There's some really nice things in the pipelines. We've seen, now that since Austin is paused right now, let me tell you guys right now, price action, nice, very nice. It's sitting at 32 cents. And then listen, I've been calling this for a while. So this is just getting started. Okay, so I'm going to stop quiet again. And Austin, he's not here yet, so I can keep talking about price. Listen, it's coming, guys. It's coming, right? We've all been waiting for this. Excuse myself, I'm a little sick. I'm actually just going to cancel this or just let Austin do it on his own or ask Oscar to replace me because I've been sick for the last few days. But I'm here, guys. I'm here. I got my Devve coffee here. You know, can't go wrong with that. Welcome back, Austin. I already stopped talking about price, so you're welcome to.
Yo, my camera's being wacky. Hang on a sec, guys. I apologize.
What is that? El gato, the cat. Look at that.
El gato is my.
Is that how your wife call you?
Yes. No, El gato is my. It's my teleprompter that is taking over my camera. What in the hell, teleprompter? Giving me the business. Oh, if I turn the power off, maybe that'll fix everything. Let's see. Be right back.
Perfect. Hey, Mo, I see you there, man. How you doing? Can you speak?
Yeah, I think so. I'm good.
There you are. Perfect, man. Well, thanks for taking the time here. I really appreciate all your support, guys. This means a lot to us. The whale chat is I'm telling you, I'm very proud of the whole community overall. The whole community is very active, and Mal, you're one of them. You're the one that is there all the time, so I'm happy to have you here.
Yeah, it's a good channel. It has a serious players there. You know, the believers. It leaves a lot of the rubbish in the other channels. It doesn't come across, which is good. So we can have really good conversations about our pet project, our belief in Devve. Yeah, it's good. Excellent.
Perfect, man. Perfect. And the other thing, guys, while we wait for Austin is, everyone's been waiting for some news, and I think they're coming. I think the market right now is kind of swishing a little bit to that building a momentum. You know, we have BTC making moves. You got Ethereum making moves. There you go, Austin. Here, man. Welcome back.
We got it. What's happening, my friends?
Very good, my friend. Very good. Thanks for taking the time, man. I know you've been busy lately since you started working for Devve, and I'm gonna compliment you with those videos that you're putting together, man. It's very helpful for everyone to kind of understand what Devve's vision, you know, where this is going, and then our investors are smart enough to understand. And the way I know that is because I can see it on the comments. You go to X and you start reading all the comments from our community, and even though we're kind of not bleeding, but our price action is not what we would like to, but they're kind of happy. They're happy with everything. They understand where this is going. It's just a matter of patience. So let's get started, my friend. Let's get started. And I know you have some very interesting things to share with us. And the first thing, Austin, I'm curious, and on the last video that you posted, you were talking about AI. And one of the things that caught my attention, because everyone's looking at AI at the moment, creating memes and then doing some crazy videos and sometimes write things. But AI is more than, and one of the things that really caught me was the medical, how can you use AI in the medical, and that's just one of the areas that this can be used. So can you talk to us a little bit about that, my friend?
Yeah, so over the last couple of years, there's been a rapid acceleration in what artificial intelligence can do. You guys know that, right? With OpenAI coming out in a whole ton of clones, a whole bunch of different companies that are doing the exact same thing. The problem is we're going to hit a point of diminishing return, because what's going to happen is the publicly available information that's out on the market right? And even the stuff they're not supposed to use, like YouTube or, content creators that have put their own stuff out there, AI is still scraping it and it's still using it to learn. But for AI to hit the next level, the curve of AI kind of looks like this. It goes up and then it just kind of starts plateauing. Right. And that's kind of where the issue comes in, is that they're going to hit the point of diminishing returns. So there's a ton of data out there that is very fragmented. And what I mean by fragmented is I'll give you an example. You've got Advent Health over here, which is a very large hospital company in Florida, right? They have a ton of data, but all of that data is extremely secured. All of that data has a ton of regulation and requirements on it. However, if AI could train on the data that they have, AI could learn to do different things. AI could learn to diagnose illnesses just by looking at a picture. AI could, when they're training new medical students, they could say, okay, show us this particular type of rare cancer and what this looks like showing up in a human being. Now, AI obviously has to be proficient in that and trained in that to be able to do that, right? The reference that I had made in the video was when you have, let's say, infectious disease medical professionals, but they're working in, like, let's say, rare diseases, right? The quote that I used was, when it comes to that, the more images you see, the better you become. And a lot of it equates to experience. A lot of your best doctors in these niche areas of the medical profession, from what I understand, they only get better as they learn kind of on the job because they're dealing in such rarity. Now, the question was hypothesized, what if AI could train on all this past medical data, and then when new students are coming through, could actually show them what they need to learn without them having to wait for somebody to show up with that actual illness, right?
And the good thing is the blockchain, because everything will be registered in the blockchain. And as you guys know, the blockchain is something that you cannot, get rid of it or duplicate it or falsificate, whatever you want to say it. So that data that's going to be in there, it will be there forever.
Well, so far, what I've said, the question should be asked, and it should be asked with everything, why can't this be done without blockchain? And I mean, honestly, if you're being critical about the tokens you're buying or the projects, you should ask that question. Can this be done without blockchain? And the reality is, for most data, it can. But when it comes to, this protected data, if, what I kind of want to paint a picture of is like a data superhighway. Like, think of, I-4, which is by me in Orlando, and you've got a bunch of different exits shooting off of it. But the big problem is we need I-4 to be completely compliant with HIPAA. We need I-4 to be built in such a way that if the data is going to live on there or even appear on there for the AIs to learn from it, then it has to meet all the regulation. Well, guess who can meet those regulations? Not Ethereum. Nobody with a node running in Kim Jong-un's basement. Like, nobody's gonna, that shit can't touch that, right? And there's multiple checkpoints of security that need to be put into place for these regulations to be met.
That's a very good point, because, of course, Ethereum, we know. I mean, to me, I see Ethereum as a scam. Let's just be realistic. The fact that
did you just see Ethereum as a scam?
Yes, I think it's a scam.
Ethereum's not a scam. We wouldn't be here without Ethereum.
Listen. Let me put this. Do you remember when Vitalik received a donation from Cheap? He received billions of dollars, and he sold that. He sold that on the community.
No, he didn't. He donated it. He sent it to a charity.
Yes, of course.
The charity sold it. Like, he was like, I don't want this.
Charity. Okay, that's fine. But listen, millions and billions of dollars are being broken from Ethereum and Solana. Okay, but my point to you is, the medical field is not going to use Ethereum for something like that. Okay, it's going to use a blockchain that is regulated and is full transparent. And that's one of the things we need to understand as Devve investors. DevX, the blockchain, is a different animal. It's completely different because the transparency and the regulation. I mean, in the medical field, each countries have different rules for different procedures. I don't want to get into that, but let's just talk about abortion. I mean, some countries approve it, some countries don't. And that's, that we're not going to talk about it. But what I'm saying is, in the medical field, you gotta have regulation and transparency, okay? And I think that's what DevX.
Well, so yes, correct. But what DevX offers is complete customizability, and that's what makes it completely different than every other chain. Is that no matter what your requirements are, we can meet them. no matter what. And if you look at what's presently on the market, you are beholden to the image of its creator. You're beholden to whatever the guy that created Avalanche thought it should be, or whatever the guy that created Ethereum, or the guys that created Phantom or Mantle or any of these other chains, right? And so for the most part, especially with your proof of stake chains, these nodes have a lot of power. The validation nodes have a ton of power. Now they put up bonds and they put up stakes to ensure that they're validating accurately, but you cannot have protected data living on a public chain like that, period. End of story. It's never going to meet the requirement. That's just it.
Agree.
And so,
I agree.
They have a couple of different options here, right? You've got the option of creating your own chain, which will cost, admittedly, a lot of money. You're going to have to train people. You're going to have to retool. You're going to have to do all of this stuff. You can try and use something that's currently on the market, which to my knowledge, aside from Devve, nothing meets the requirements. Or you can plug into Devve with a simple API and smart contracts coded in C++. And the cool part about this is we're talking about one aspect here of supporting the AI industry, right? But this siloed and fragmented data is all over the world in tons of different industries. And it's worth a lot to these folks. A lot of the time, that's why it's siloed and fragmented. They don't want to let this data out of their possession, right? So how do you train these language learning models on that when you've got people in this way? And so the complete customizability of Devve can play a big role in that. And actually, there's been some interest on that front. That's the reason that Ray was speaking at that conference.
Yes, and that's I got curious when he was there. And now I'm gonna there's some questions in the chat right now, and I'm gonna get there in a second. But Les, I got mine too, man.
Hey.
Where's yours, Mom? Where's yours? You need to get one.
Mal, you're a legend, dude.
Don't show me a Solana, Mom, please. Another scammer. Anyway, so Austin, how does the Devve token benefits from this AI deal? Let's give us an idea.
So here's what you guys have to understand. Anytime anyone touches the DevX network, okay, the Devve token is involved. Meaning they have to hold and pay for all services using the Devve token. Now, in the case of ESG and seeding the Evergreen Fund and, investing in ESG related companies to develop impact assets, some of that is admittedly going to be from the Forever Association's treasury that's going to be locked up for a long period of time. But when it comes to DevX S2, right, it's really only limited to your imagination. Anything you can think of that blockchain can do that you may have blocks on other chains, we can do. I mean, pretty much out the gate. I mean, with the exception of helping humans to fly, like pretty much almost anything that you can think of blockchain doing, the DevX network can do. Now, anyone that touches the network in any professional capacity to use the network for their own company, for their own project in any way, shape, or form must hold and pay with Dev. Okay.
So let me just put this into perspective. Okay. So let's say I'm a cardiologist. Okay. And I'm in the middle of a patient that has a certain condition and it's something very unique and I need to get more information. So I'll go to the DevX blockchain or the platform that will be designed for the AI. And then I want to search what's out there in correlation with this patient's results or scans or whatever. And then I'll have to pay for them. Now, I want you guys to understand how important.
That's a little bit inaccurate for what I spoke about with the AI. Right?
Okay.
I don't want you thinking we're creating a super highway for people to search like they search on Google, because that would be completely not compliant with HIPAA, right? Because HIPAA is so stringent that you can't even take a picture of a record with a cell phone. Like, that's one of the rules, right? You cannot bring it online in any way, shape, or form except in very specific circumstances. And so really the question is, how do we get the machine, the AI, that needs to learn this information, but may not be HIPAA compliant, to be able to learn this information that's currently siloed in servers that they can't get to.
Not pulling like their medical records. It's just like information.
We have to connect the two somehow, and we have to do it in a way that everyone feels safe doing. Right. And so, and that meets regulation. That's what's important.
It's like this company that does, for example, the insurance company use it a lot when you go buy a car, and they call it Carfax. I mean, you know, this company go out there and then pull all the data for all the accidents that are out there, but they don't tell you. I mean, they give you a big number, but they don't tell you like who owns it or, you know, specifically where the accident happened. And they just tell you, okay, this car had an accident. That's it. And that data goes into a database and then is used public. So, I mean, is that something similar?
Really, the purpose of all of this is so the LLMs can learn to do really specific jobs. It's not so this data cannot be available to everyone. It can't. Regulatory reasons prohibit that, right? All we're saying is, okay, here's a real cool use case of AI. AI having the ability to diagnose illness or train new medical students on particular illnesses, right? So how do you take that AI and get it the information that you needed to get when the information is sitting on the Advent Health servers and you've got a company over here that's creating the artificial intelligence, you know, LLM? How do you connect the two in a way that's completely compliant? And the reason that can be done on DevX is for a number of reasons. But one of the cool reasons is, what if the data never even had to leave the server? What if the AI completely read all of the data off of the server? It could be reflected on the DevX network, return back to the server. Now you've got an AI that can do anything based on prompts. It's only going to have compliant data, right? All it's going to be doing is saying, okay, we've got this particular type of symptom that's presenting. What do you think that is based upon, you know, the last 30 years of medical records that you've just ran through, right? That's really what we're looking at. Very specific.
Perfect. Let me go to the questions here. We have a few questions. I don't know if you know, we're gonna ask them anyway.
Fire away, man. I'll do my best.
One of them is asking about the migration on Devve, like literally getting out of ETA. You don't have any feedback about or information?
Yes, I do. No, I can't tell you exactly, but yes, I will tell you it is coming. So
to answer the question, yes, you will be migrating to the.
Yes, we will be migrating. We will be migrating. I have an idea of when. The rest of the team kind of has an idea of when. It's not terribly far off. But it's going to be in conjunction with some other events. And so perfect. Hang on. There's some stuff that needs to come.
Just keep in mind, guys, that, you know, the fact that we're in Ethereum right now, it's giving a lot of the opportunity to get in the eyes of a lot of people. Okay. Now, eventually, once we get listed on exchanges, it's going to be a different story, you know. Besides that, we're going to have our own exchange. And I have a few questions about that too. The second person here is any big companies such as Amazon, Alibaba, if they're being in contact with Devve. I guess that's what they're trying to. I know you cannot answer that, but I don't know if you can say yes or no to that.
Well, I can't answer that.
Okay, there you go.
I'm sorry.
Makes sense. Okay, now let's talk a little bit about the exchange. Okay.
Hold on. Let me just say real quick. I know sitting watching this, like when I was not on the team and I was watching Davin, like I was looking for how many times his eyes twitched when you asked him a question. You know what I mean? Like I was doing that type of stuff. Listen, you guys should understand that at the level and your minds will all be blown in time. I promise you, your heads will roll off of your shoulders and onto the floor. You'll have to pick them up and super glue them back on your body, right? That's what'll be coming down the road. However, when you operate at that level, and trust me when I tell you we are, there are many things that have to be in place, and there are many legalities associated with it to not shoot the pooch, right? We have to get it done properly. So just hang on.
And that's the way it works, guys. I mean, this companies and of course Devve, you know, it's following them. You got to do this thing the right way. So. Let's talk about the exchange. I'm curious, and then when we're talking about ESG and we're talking about carbon credits, and actually I did a little bit of research on the amount of carbon credits demand that is out. And I think I posted on Twitter. So from what I understand, and then I know you cannot talk too much about this company that is going to be bringing this carbon credits, but to ask you the question directly, so the DevX exchange will be selling carbon credits. Is that what it's going to be?
Well, I'll say that the Dev exchange has the ability to sell carbon credit. Anything with a value that can be tokenized can be exchanged. That's the way that works on Dev exchange. And so this comes down to...
It's going to be like a hybrid. It's not like, for example, Binance that only sells crypto. So you're going to be able to buy and sell everything. Say it again?
We could tokenize securities. We could tokenize real world assets. We could tokenize carbon credits, obviously, which we're going to be doing. We could tokenize pretty much anything.
And, you know, it's funny how I've been reading some news out there. I'm not going to mention names, but there's some companies out there that are trying to do like a hybrid thing, and they talk about opening an exchange or doing something with an exchange here in the U.S. and then I mean they're big. You can go out there and research. So this will be a hybrid exchange, and of course, as we know, the way you're going to be able to buy and sell will be using Devve token. Is that correct? That's what's the value.
Well, so here's the way that's going to work. Hey, Mal, would you mind muting for a second, buddy? I think some feedback's coming through on your end. So I want you guys to kind of understand the way that this is going to work. So the way that they have solved the centralized exchange versus decentralized exchange issue, and they've solved it in a very elegant, very good way that's going to feel like a centralized exchange while you still keep possession of your tokens. I'll relay the information that Tom relayed on one of our community calls that we did a while back, right? So they use order matching and atomic swaps that are underneath the hood. And every trade that goes from one currency to another is going to be routed through Devve. Now, Roger, if you want to switch from Bitcoin to Ethereum, you don't have to manually sell your Bitcoin into Devve and then buy Ethereum. It's all going to happen under the hood. That would be very clunky. But Devve is the connect of every single trade through every single pair. Does that make sense?
Oh, yes. So you will not see it when you're trading, but it's just happening. Of course, because the fees are so low, it's not going to show like a big transaction. But the fact that it's going to be doing that, it will be buying, selling, giving it a huge volume, and then of course demand towards the Devve token. Now, keep in mind, guys, that for circulating supply, the total supply is 300 million. That's correct, right, Austin?
Correct.
Okay. Now, out of the 300 million, there's a big percentage of that is going to be locked for. Now, something came out last week, or I can't remember what it was. I think it was last week, when they had a report of the amount of Ethereum that was minted or mined, whatever you want to call it, and the amount of Ethereum that was burned. And there was a big difference. In other words, there's more Ethereum entering in circulation. And every year there'll be more Ethereum. So imagine 5 years from now. Ethereum, it's already happened. They're losing clients. Okay, they're even though it's the second largest blockchain, because of the capitalization, it's not the best. It's the one that's been around the longest. I still believe it's a scam, but that's another story. Anyways, so every year Ethereum is gonna lose its position. More people is gonna realize, more investors, and of course enterprise level, they're gonna realize that there are better alternatives out, like Devve, for example. But the comparison between the amount of Ethereum that is being minted versus the one that's being burned, excuse me, it really worries me, especially for those that are into Ethereum, because excuse me, guys, like I told you, I was sick. So Devve has a max supply, okay, just like Bitcoin has 21 million. So as Devve ecosystem grows and more adoption happens, there will be less Devve available for sale, because these companies are going to need them to access the ecosystem. So at the end of the day, Devve I don't want to talk about price, but it's going to increase in adoption. Okay. Can you give us a little bit of comparison with that? Or I know you like Ethereum to a certain level. I know you like Devve.
Well, it's not that I like Ethereum necessarily. It's that Ethereum has first mover advantage. Smart contracts first appeared on Ethereum. The reason that we have the functionality of an agreement between two parties without the need of a centralized authority is because of Ethereum, right? They were the first to bring smart contracts to the table, which means they have first mover advantage. The amount of Ethereum that's being minted in a year, like your graphic showed that 200,000 was minted and 100,000 was burned or something like that. 100,000 Ethereum a year is it's like nothing compared to the ETF that's launching probably, next Tuesday and all sorts of stuff. None of that. But we're not like the whole Ethereum killer narrative was last cycle. That was 2021. That was 2020, right? That's when Phantom and AVAX and Polygon and all these different networks started dropping. And really the narrative there was it's faster and it's cheaper. Cool. And that's fine, because in DeFi summer of 2020, we were all paying $100 and $200 to harvest our sushi swap tokens, right? That's what we were doing because we were idiots back then. That's no longer a viable narrative. And by the way, that narrative really only applied within the crypto bro sphere of life. Since the beginning, since the genesis of Devve, That has never been our target market. And thank God, because we would be one of 200 different
There's a lot of
projects vying
competition
for the
there.
same amount of
Exactly.
people.
There's a lot of
Right. Our
I
target
think you're
market
right.
is
I should be
everyone
comparing
else.
Devve with Ethereum because we're different. I mean, we're targeting a different market.
Yeah, we're not the same animal.
You're right. You're right.
And I'll
You're
explain
right.
to you, Ethereum has to be inflationary. And the reason it has to be inflationary is they have to pay a return to their validators to validate the network. They must. Otherwise, why is somebody going to pay the server costs? Why are people going to, stake at least 32 Ethereum? They're not going to unless you pay them a return. But because of the way that Devve is set up currently, right? And again, we could spin up a proof of stake shard, and that proof of stake shard could conceivably have its own token. And that proof of stake shard could conceivably emit, some other token to those validators. Like, that's how customizable this is. You could spin up a proof of work shard if you were really feeling frisky. But that's not how the overarching network is set up, because we are set up for enterprise. We're set up for governments. We're set up for everyone else. We're set up. Here's how we're set up. We're set up for the companies that are going to build on blockchain, and it's going to live inside of your home, Roger, or your home, Mal, and you're not going to know you're using it. That's who we're set up for. That's what real adoption is going to look like. People think mass adoption is going to come because, Squiggles became a great NFT project. Bullshit. That's nobody.
Day-to-day users.
No,
That's what.
right. In fact, mass adoption is probably not even going to involve a wallet of any kind, nor a token. Seriously, because the technology underpinning this is really where the meat and potatoes are. That's transformation.
Like you mentioned earlier with the exchange, I mean, there will be a lot of transactions behind the scenes that are going to be using the Devve token. You will probably never even know it, even the utility.
Let me put it this way, right? So the ESG use case, and we could get into that, is absolutely massive. And if that was the only use case, it would be sufficient to provide utility for Devve. The exchange use case is massive. And if that was the only use case, it would be sufficient to provide utility to Devve. The governments that we're in talks with, beyond talks, they're massive. And if that was the only utility, that would be sufficient for Devve, okay? DevX S2, the Amazon Web Services of spinning up shards and letting enterprise use blockchain, that would be sufficient if it was the only thing we were doing. But we're doing all of these things, all of them.
Let me ask you this. It might not have anything to do with Devve right now, but I found some information that I became curious. Okay, and we all know TS Nano. There's a company out there that is doing this technology to tap oil wells. Is that correct?
They're sealing up old gas and oil wells. What they're doing.
Can we talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, let's do that.
How does that work? I mean, what's the amount? I mean, what is the market for? Because I know you're talking about maybe in the U.S. there's X amount of wells that need to be tapped, but worldwide there's huge amount.
Ton. Because what happens? So, like my grandfather-in-law is in the oil and gas company. He's an old boy from Louisiana. His family just started drilling holes, right? And what they do is they go out and they prospect, and they don't know when they drill if they're guaranteed to hit oil and gas or not. In fact, they could drill a bunch of holes and not strike any of that Texas tea, when they get down there. But so what this does is it does leave a ton of holes in the ground. And especially when they strike oil or they strike natural gas, eventually that runs out, right? You don't just hit one and it spouts out forever. That's not the way that it works. So what this does is it leaves all these holes in the ground, and methane escapes into the atmosphere, right? Which is not a great thing. It's not good for the environment. And so what TS Nano came up with is they came up with this nano sealant, right? It's a sealant that actually seals it down at the particle level, from what I understand. And so they can come and they can seal up these old holes. And what it does is it keeps that methane into the ground. Now, as a result of that, they're able to quantify the environmental impact on that and then issue carbon credits based upon that. Okay. So this is kind of part of the Devve flywheel. And it's not just in the US. And you guys should know that, in the US right now, we are sitting on a ton of energy. We are sitting on a ton of oil and gas. But the current administration that's in the White House decided that he was going to completely stop that we were no longer going to, get our own oil or natural gas. If Trump wins, not to get political at all, but he's going to start drilling that stuff again, right? Which is going to increase the market for TS Nano and really TS Nano. They're the ones with, they hold the IP on this type of stuff. And so that's just one example of how carbon credits can be created. And there's a ton of other examples that are out there.
So you're talking about the
huge
Middle East, you're talking about Russia. There's wells everywhere that can you benefit
anywhere.
From this technology.
Absolutely. Okay. And I think really it's probably largely like it's going to be largely a matter of just getting it out there. But you guys got to understand. So TS Nano is indirectly, like, it's related to us because the Evergreen Fund is an investor in TS Nano, right? TS Nano initially, when their business started, they were a sealant business. Now they're not a sealant business. They're a carbon credit issuing business. That's what they are. Ray got a hold of them and said, hold on, we're doing something different, boys. Like, strap in. We got a bigger market.
So do you think that's the reason why the U.S. Department of Energy invested in them?
I honestly don't have any information on that. I know. I saw your Twitter posts and all of that.
Let's just move on. Okay. So let's go back to the.
Let me say this to you, though. Let me say this to you guys. I strongly recommend everyone on here go and stalk Ray's LinkedIn and see the connection. Like, go try and put some pieces together. You can. There's public stuff that he shares.
You go to the websites. The information is there. Do your homework. I mean,
there's information there, but like
to talk about certain things, but it's right there, guys. What I just told you is right there for you to read.
What I'm driving at is now that I have the information and I've seen Ray's LinkedIn, I know that he's dropping nuggets of information to you guys because I know what they are. I'm just telling you to go read it. Just go scroll through his posts and take a look. Like, your mind will be blown.
Beautiful, beautiful. So let's move on. Let's see. We have some other questions right here. Someone was asking if DevX or Devve, whole ecosystem, will ever launch a state. Is that something that, I don't know, they're asking?
Great question. I do not have the information on that, and I honestly couldn't tell you if there's a reason for it to exist outside of, let's say, USDC or USDT. Like, maybe, but I honestly have no idea. Like, that's not a discussion I've ever heard on the table. But we could.
The other thing that comes to my mind, now that someone's talking about a stable, I'm just thinking, there's some arguments out there about the digital currencies for countries, which some people like and some people don't. And I know people in crypto were kind of against it.
Are you talking about CBDCs?
Yes. So, but I don't know. I mean, governments at the end, they're going to do what they need to. Now, will they go out there and use their own, try to build their own blockchain, or will they build on top of something? Remember, regulation will play a good role. So if I was the U.S. government or, China, and I need to build a digital currency, I will probably go with something that is global and is already out there and is flexible, it's customized. I don't know. I'm just saying, of course, the question is there to be asked in the future. If there will ever be a digital currency for countries, and if there is, what blockchains are they going to build? So let's move on. I don't want to.
You're going to let me off the hook on that one, aren't you? Okay, good.
It's a very difficult things to talk. There's some other questions here. Let's see if I can find some.
Hold on, let me say one thing on that, Roger. I'll say this.
Yes, go ahead.
Devve is better situated to handle a CBDC than any other chain on the market. I'll just say that.
Okay, let's move on. Talk a little bit about the Devve Ranger program. I know that's something we've been working on it. And tell us a little bit about it. I know that's your baby. And then we got some things in the pipeline. Go ahead, Austin.
Yeah, guys. So we are launching the Global Ambassador Program, and this is going to be a blast. And Roger and I, can I tell him, like, you and I were chatting last night. We were having like Telegram word porn or something. We were like, oh man, this is going to be so much fun when we're going to go to Dubai and eat steaks, and we're going to go, because all that's coming, right? Like, the excitement that I feel in my heart over this is like, I cannot even put it into words with you guys. So the ambassador program, like, the reason that is so cool for me is not just the impact that it's going to have on Devve, but it's that my favorite part of everything that I do is you guys, is meeting you guys. It's talking to you guys. It's meeting you guys in person. It's getting to know your lives and your families and how this is impacting. And so we are launching the Global Ambassador Program. The name Devve Rangers, like, that's kind of the name that we've adopted. We were talking about Dev Squad. We can call it Dev Squad. We can call it Devve Rangers. You can call it, the Devve Clowns. You can call it whatever you want. It doesn't really matter. But the Global Ambassador Program is essentially what we're looking for. We are looking for Devve holders who understand the mission, who understand what we're driving at, and have a desire to bring this to people in their local region. And as of right now, we have roughly 22 founding ambassadors who are going to be our regional leads. Of one, Mal is one. He's one of our regional leads out in Australia. Thank you, Mal. Roger is one. Him and Oscar and Crypto Splash Bro are handling Latin America, and then Roger and Oscar are handling the United States. I'll probably get involved in that as well. And we have a bunch of other guys that are handling Europe and France and Spain and UK and all these different locations. And so what we're looking for is we're looking for folks with a love for Devve that kind of understand what we're driving at and are willing to kind of be the face of Devve, that are willing to do live events, that are willing to show up to conferences, that are willing to hold X spaces and hop on videos and kind of get out and share with people the actual message of what we're building. Because unlike almost any other chain out there, I can't honestly think of another chain that's doing this. You know, we're not just going to do well, we're going to do good for the world while we're doing well. And that's important, that those two are living together. And so there is a mission behind this to bring blockchain to the places where blockchain could not exist prior. And that is admittedly a massive gig, and we're going to do it. And
see,
we're not.
One of the things, I'm sorry to interrupt you. You know, this global program, you need to understand. Okay, this is going to be big. This is what's going to bring Devve to the ears of those that are in crypto, but outside crypto. So you're going to be involved in a lot of different programs. Like we're talking about helping universities, with donations. Talking about maybe helping their team if they need a uniform, or maybe go beyond what Devve allows, price increase, and then we start getting more funding. Then we might go out there and then help with the computer lab, and maybe in Africa where they probably never had a computer. So there's a lot of things that we have in mind. I don't know if you ever, like you said, I don't know if anyone else out there in this space have done it. The way the vision that we're seeing, and so this is going to have two purposes. One, of course, is brand awareness, so we can connect with investors, but also to help the world, to make a better world. And of course, being a green company, we're going to be involved in a lot of programs that has to do with the environment. Go ahead, Austin.
No, you're exactly right. So really my call to you guys and anyone that watches the recording later is, if you feel compelled, if you want to get involved at a greater level than just a community member, we're going to be releasing an application into the wild here pretty soon. I don't see Craig on this call. Let me see if he's here. Oh yeah, he is. Hey Craig, I see you down there, buddy. So Craig is going to be one of our, that's Oldie One Devve, by the way. He is one of our intake ambassadors, him and Godfrey, who goes by I Am, and also Patrick. Those three guys are going to be our intake guys. So when you send in your application, and we have an application process, that's going to go into a spreadsheet. These guys are going to review the spreadsheet, reach out to you, kind of chat with you a little bit, ensure that,
and I believe that you're working on a website too, right? You're working on a website where all the information will be there and share.
Yeah. So, there's going to be a web page on devve.io that's being worked on right now. And we're kind of waiting on that to be able to release the project, to be able to release the program itself. Once we have that, then we'll drop a Medium article and everything.
Very nice, very nice. So there you have it, guys. If you want to be a Devve Ranger and you want to spread the world out there and help the planet, there's your chance. And then what a better thing to be first. I mean, right now we're very blessed because we're building this from the bottom. Okay, we're the first ones that got here. Even though Tom Anderson and his team, they've been building all the blockchain and the business part of this ecosystem. But now you have the opportunity to build this community. And I think that's important because 5 years from now, 10 years from now, I mean, sky's the limit, guys. Sky's the limit. I've been at events that Ethereum does events all over the world. And then they get a lot of funding for these events. And then one of the things I don't really like how they do it is they spend all this money just to promote the brand. But like I was in Honduras a few months ago, and I assure you guys, this event was like a $300,000 event. It was 2 days. Everyone that assisted was free. They gave him breakfast, lunch, dinner. And I said, listen, you go around the city where this event was happening, there are schools that don't have a roof, okay? There are kids that don't even have shoes. So why don't you get a little bit of that budget and then just put it out there for a social, involvement. And that's the vision I see with this. Once we go out there and we get the funding to do these events. Now, remember, guys, and I know Austin doesn't like me talking about price, but Devve is going to get to a very, very high price at one point. And we're going to have a lot of funds out there to do all this, and helping others is one of the things I really wanted.
Okay, here.
Perfect.
I'm with you.
So let's see if we have any other questions right now. Well, there's people coming in. I mean,
while you're looking, I also want to say, like, I hate sitting here and being ambiguous. There's nothing I'd prefer more than to just come right out with it. Believe me. And I know Davin's the same way, Phil's the same way, Steve's the same way. We would love nothing more than to sit here and tell you guys everything that's happening in the background, right? Unfortunately, our hands are tied in that regards, but a year from now, none of you will be sitting here wondering what's going on. You will all know fully everything that's been worked on, and there will be, like, it's going to have an exponential growth curve, in my opinion. Because once a few of these dominoes start falling, every corner of crypto is going to know who we are, period. It will actually be, I would consider it, maybe unethical is not the right word, but it would be, if you're a journalist in crypto and you don't pick up the news that's going to start dropping about Devve, you might as well just close your door because you've missed the biggest news in the
And that'll be free marketing for us, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
And then, as a matter of fact, I was talking to Austin, and I was able to connect Tom Anderson with a very important individual that has a financial channel in New York. And we're having a conversation with him on Saturday. Hopefully, I can't tell you the name right now because nothing is ready yet or allowed to be spoken in public. But if this goes through, just one interview with this guy will put Devve in the heads of millionaires and billionaires around the globe. And then eventually it's going to happen with him or with anyone else out.
Austin, why don't we move on to the last, there's one last thing I want to talk about, and which is the Launchpad and those projects that we already have Fias that launch, and which we all know about the utility of the token. And then we have Taunt coming. Do we have any dates for Taunt or that's or
yeah, we have perspective. We have perspective dates, which the calendar should be getting launched here, I would say, at some point soon to kind of let you guys know what we're doing. But we're within, 4 to 6 weeks of the Taunt launch for sure. And I can tell you guys, like, Taunt is a beast. Taunt is an absolute beast. Like, a lot of energy is being spent on the back end to make sure that their launch is absolutely crushing it. And so that's one that I'm extremely excited about. If you didn't watch my AMA with those guys, I strongly recommend you do. And there's going to be a series of AMAs coming out here pretty soon with the partners of Taunt. Taunt has some fairly big name partners. I don't actually know if those are NDA'd or not, so I don't want to drop it on behalf of Jeff and spill the beans, but he has big name partners from projects that you're aware of in the crypto space because they're huge. They're multi-billion-dollar projects. And so Taunt is a remarkable piece of tech that I think will do very, very, very well. But what I want you guys to kind of understand, I want you to think of a couple of different, you guys know what Binance Labs is, I would imagine. Binance Labs is like the incubator that Binance has, right? And the Launchpad that we have, I don't really like the name Launchpad. I wish we would use the name incubator personally, because the white glove service that is being provided on the back end to these projects is not what a Launchpad does. These are incubators. Like, we're putting so much effort towards marketing these projects, connecting these projects, getting them hooked up with exchanges, like literally anything you could imagine that, getting them plugged in with VC funding, pretty much everything. So right now, we're just sitting on a Launchpad, right? When the exchange launches and the technology is actually understood and the exchange partners are revealed to the world, and the various systems that are put in place to ensure that people understand what this is all about, then we've got not just a Launchpad, we've got Dev Exchange, and anyone that launches through Dev Exchange, you get dev drops on, pal. That's coming too. It's not just the ones that go through the Launchpad, it's the ones that go through the exchange.
So hold on for a second. Well. So you're telling me that if someone lists of the exchange, those stakers are going to get free tokens as well?
Not list. I didn't say list. I said launch.
Okay, launch. Okay, good. Launch.
That's
so
important.
If they're launching on the exchange or the incubator, we get tokens. And
look, I don't want to give you a 100% hit rate on that, but I know that the exchange is also involved in the dev drops, just so you know.
Okay. Because for some reason, that's what I heard. I don't know. I might be wrong. Like I said, that's why I asked the question, because maybe I had to ask Tom when time comes. But let me ask you one more thing. On Taunt, what is the allocation for the drops? Do we already know how much they're going to give to the stakers?
It's a lot. It's like $750,000 worth of taunt at launch price. It's a ton.
So
maybe it's even more.
for the stakers?
Yeah, that's just for the
huge.
dev drop.
That's huge. So if this thing
It's a
goes
lot.
at 10x, I mean, do the math.
Yeah.
Do
Yeah.
we still
If
have a
you're-
chance to stake? Do we still have a chance to stake right now, or what's the?
I think
the-
you do. I believe I think the snap hasn't happened yet. So go ahead, stake away. Like, get it.
Okay.
Get in there.
Okay, so listen, guys, you stake your Devs right now. You're gonna get a portion of the $750,000 dev draw from Tom. Now, this is based on launch price. So if this thing, does a 10x, I mean, that's free money, guys. That's what this whole thing is about. So
I think we're close to like you guys can see what the market is doing. I think we're close to an alt bounce. I think we're within a month or two of an alt
Yes,
bounce.
I agree.
And I want you guys to also know, how do I put that? So
just say it.
we don't we don't want to crank news out when you have a market that's not ready to accept it, right? When the market is ready to accept it, that's when you're going to start seeing boom, 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 boom. We're going to crank it out. But it would be absolutely no point in shooting off a firework underwater, to put it like
Makes
that,
sense.
right? It's
Makes sense.
not going to be beautiful. And so just hang on. There's a method to all of this. And those of you guys that are like, hey, Roger said 4 weeks. Well, sorry, Roger.
Hey, I'll take the hit. Listen, I'll take the hit. Don't worry about it. Hey, in the meantime, you get to watch my see me saying so.
That's right.
Just wait for
Big
them.
smile.
They're coming. We know they're
That's
coming.
right.
Very nice, Austin. I'm telling you. If there's someone out there that wants to say something, make a comment, or ask a question, just feel free to open your mic. This video is being recorded. We're going to share it on YouTube and, of course, here on Telegram and X as well. And then please share it. Please share it. It's important for us to do our part. And then one of the things I want to tell you guys, when you share a tweet, okay, or an X post, whatever you want to call it, make sure you use the $signs Solana, for example, $sign AVAC. So you need to make sure you tag those projects, because when someone is looking for that specific project, they're going to find the information about that. Okay. Now, they might not be looking for Devve, but they're looking, let's say, for Solana, and all of a sudden, they're going to see Austin pretty face, and they're going to say, I got to watch this video. So it's very important for us to share, but we got to know how to share. So make sure you do that next time.
Can I address a couple things in the chat here? So you guys had asked when we're going to migrate, and I told you that for any trades to be facilitated on Dev Exchange, they're going to go through the Devve token on the Devve network. So I'm not going to dive too much further into that, but you can connect the dots there. And Clint asked, when you say companies need to hold Devve in order to use the DevX blockchain, will these be issued from forever or bought on the open market? The answer is, I think the safest answer to say is probably both. When it comes to the ESG stuff, like those are definitely going to come from forever, because that is how we seed the Evergreen Fund. And trust me, you want the Evergreen Fund seeded, because that is how the impact assets are going to be generated, and those are going to live on the DevX network, and those are going to generate even more assets for the Forever Association that's going to go back into the Evergreen Fund. Like, it's a big deal, that whole cycle. But the more impact assets we have, the more desirable they become, the more Devve that needs to be staked by these giant companies, right? Or fund managers or what have you. And so that's a really good question, Clint, and just hang on, because there's so many different utilities involved here that, like, it's not all going to come from forever, for sure.
Very good, Austin. Listen, I want to appreciate everyone that joined. We really appreciate your time. And listen, there's a lot of things that are going to be coming to you guys in the near future. I mean, I'm talking about days, weeks, but it's not going to be that long. And just a quick commercial when you get a chance. Also, go out there and check my company, Avenida Crypto. Okay, we're actually a company registered in El Salvador. We're doing great things. Eventually, we're going to try to partner with Devve with some great things, ideas, and of course, brand awareness and the exposure in Latin America is going to be big. And one more thing, I got something very nice coming for you guys on Saturday. Okay, I'm not going to tell you what it is. But Saturday before noon, listen, make sure you stick around, okay? And this I know. I'm just not going to tell you right now.
You're hyping it up too much, Roger. You're hyping it up too much. It's not that big of a deal.
Price, right? Did I mention price in this video? No, I didn't.
okay?
Yes, you did a few times. Of course you did. You mentioned it by saying, I'm not going to talk about price, but let me tell you about price for a second.
You say hi. I didn't give you guys a number, did I? Oh, right.
It's fine. It's fine. No, I love chatting with you, buddy, and I appreciate you respecting the parameters. I get so excited with,
everything I learned.
I know.
Devve.
That's why we love you.
Is there, guys. Go please read the white paper. Connect the dots. Stick around next time. This is the Devve Hour, Austin Mall. See you guys around.
Later, boys and girls. Have a great one.